Hi everyone. So this is the first time I've ever done this. So please bear with me. I hate the sound of my own voice and just be patient. But I really hope that after the session, this will help you to go through the sessions and work out how you do each activity. So this is an activity that I tend to call coding activities, because basically what you're doing is you're trying to find the mystery code. Okay, so you've got 5 different patterns, each with a 2-letter code underneath. Now, the first letter will tell you something about the pattern. The second letter will give you another piece of information about the pattern. So it's your job to work out what those letters mean and then to work out the mystery code. Okay. So the first thing I always do is start with 2 letters the same. So in this case, we've got 2 patterns that start with the letter B. So we're going to have a look at what's the same about those patterns. Now, if you look at the patterns, they kind of consist of 4 elements. You've got the black shape at the base of each pattern. You've got the number of strings. You've got the number of white beads, and you've got the number of black beads. Now, if you look, the number of strings stays the same throughout. So I think we can discount that. So we're either looking at the black shape at the base, the white beads, or the black beads. Okay. So if we have a look at the 2 patterns that start with the letter B, what's the same? So straight away, I can see that they both have a black triangular base. Okay, can you see that? So I think that the first letter is telling us about the black shape at the base of each pattern, but I'm just going to check the white and the black beads just to make sure. So this shape here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white beads, whereas this shape here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white beads. So that's different. So we know that the first letter has got nothing to do with the number of white beads. Let's do the same with the black beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that tells us that the letter B tells us that there's going to be a black triangle at the base of that pattern. So the first letter is telling us about that black shape. We have got a black circle. So we know that our code, therefore, must start with the letter D. Now, what I always say when we are looking at Kent Test is the answers are always multiple choice, okay? So whether it be in non-verbal reasoning, verbal reasoning, spatial reasoning, maths, or even English, if you find out a piece of information about an answer, look through the answers that you're given, and are there any that you can cross out? Are there any that you can discount? Because, of course, any that you cross out, you're giving yourself a greater chance of getting the answer correct. So we know that our answer definitely starts with a D. So therefore, we know it can't be B. We know the answer can't be C. And we know the answer can't be E. So we've narrowed our choices down to 2. So instead of having a 1 in 5 chance of getting it right, if we have to guess at the end, we've now got a 1 in 2 chance of getting it right, which is much higher, which is much greater. So how do we go about working out the second letter? Well, we go through the same process. So we look for 2 letters which are the same. So let's look. I can see that 2 have an M for the second letter, M for Michelle. So what's the same about those 2 shapes? Well, again, we know it's nothing to do with the black shape at the base. So it's got to do with the number of white beads and black beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white beads. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black beads. So I think the second letter is telling us that the shape must have the same number of white and the same number of black beads. So in other words, looking at our mystery shape, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white beads, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black beads. So we're looking for another shape which also has 7 white and 7 black beads. So let's look at this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, that's already got a different number of white beads, so it can't be L. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black beads. So our second letter must be the letter K. So our code must be DK. So let's just check that. Hurrah. So I hope that's helped. Let's have a look at the second example then. So again, look for a letter which is the same. So in this case, I can see two shapes or two patterns which start with the letter P. Now, how are they both the same? Well, they've got 3 sections at the top, but also they are facing down, if you like. So I think that's the key, because our shape also has 3 sections, but it's facing off to the right. Okay, so I think the first letter is telling us the direction that the shape is facing in. Our shape is facing off to the right, which is the same as this pattern here. So I think our first letter is going to be the letter S. So now let's have a look at 2 letters which are the same for the second letter. So we've got 2 B's, okay? What's the same about those? Well, they've got a black and a white shape. If we have a look at the QA and the RA, which also have the same second letter, they also have the N shapes, which are the same color. They have 2 black shapes. We've got 2 white shapes, just like this shape here. So I think our second letter is going to be C. So I think the answer is C, SC. Okay. Let's have a look at this final problem. So again, remember what we say, look for 2 letters which are the same and look at what they've got in common. So we've got 2 shapes which start with the letter W. So what's the same about those 2 shapes? Well, it's nothing to do with the outside shape because they're completely different, but they do both have 3 white dots and 3 white dots. So I think the first letter has to do with the number of white dots or white circles. So W is for 3, okay? So, and if you also look, the 2 shapes that start with a Z have 1 white dot. We've got 2 white dots. It looks a bit like a pig's nose, doesn't it? Which is the same as this one here. So I think that our shape starts with an S for 2 white dots. So again, and this is what I forgot to do in the last example, now that we know that our answer starts with an S, we know that the answer can't be A, it can't be C. So what is the second letter telling us then? Well, if you look, we have got 2 shapes where the second letter is B. What do they have in common? Well, it's the outside shape. They're both square. So I think a B lets us know that it's going to be a square shape. I think an F tells us it's going to be circular. An N tells us it's going to be triangular. And a J tells us it's going to be oval. We've got a circular shape, so I think our second letter is going to be F, which means that I think the answer this time is going to be E. Okay, guys, I hope that's helped. Any feedback will be gratefully received, and I hope you enjoy the lesson later. Thank you. Bye.